Joining me now, as he does each and every week, is Sky News Australia's media watchdog columnist, Gerard Henderson. Welcome to the show, as always.
Thank you.
Now, let's jump into it, because Sally Sarah, she's at it again. We've got two grabs that we need to kind of compare. Let's start with the first one.
Yaakov Katz is the former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post and co-author of While Israel Slept, How Hamas Surprised the Most Powerful Military in the Middle East. Israel denies allegations of genocide, but a UN Commission of Inquiry has found Israel has committed and continues to commit genocide in Gaza, and allegations of genocide against Israel are also before the International Court of Justice. Meanwhile, the International Criminal Court has an arrest warrant in place for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over alleged war crimes.
So that was her qualification for the former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post. Now we've got a Palestinian human rights lawyer. Let's see the qualifications for this.
Jonathan is a Palestinian human rights lawyer and co-founder of the Palestinian human rights group Al-Haq and the co-founder of Nonviolence International. He also served as the head of the legal committee of the Palestinian delegation negotiating the Cairo Interim Agreement of 1994 between Israel and the PLO.
Well, the stylistic thing is interesting as well, because the guy who's talking for the Palestinian human rights group, he gets just his first name, but the Israeli guy gets two names. So Jonathan's okay.
Tick one.
And the other thing is that this statement the ABC is now reading out constantly, but I mean, it's very one-sided. I mean, there is no reference when a Palestinian person comes on talking about Gaza that the health ministry, the Gazan health ministry, is an arm of the Hamas government, which is the government of Gaza. There's no mention of that, and there should be, and there's no mention of hostages being kept, not being released. So,
or that Hamas executes its own people,
executes its own people.
In horror.
And there's a very good piece in the Australian yesterday from the Wall Street Journal about a Gazan guy who's been persecuted by Hamas, and a very plausible thing. So none of that's ever mentioned. But any time an Israeli guy comes on, they get that treatment.
Yeah. By the way, they're committing genocide.
And they're committing genocide, but of course this is not established either. I mean, this is highly contentious, because genocide is supposed to mean a deliberate killing, and all the evidence suggests the Israelis, if you're warning people off, you're going to drop a bomb, you're not deliberately killing people.
Now let's move on to Nick Bryant at the ABC Radio National Breakfast, and he's weighed into the Hamas combatants' death figures.
You commended President Donald Trump for his leadership. I wonder what you think about the leadership of your Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel has conducted a very brutal response to the attacks of October the 7th. More than 60,000 Palestinian people have been killed. What do you think about Benjamin Netanyahu's leadership over the last 2 years?
Gerard, your thoughts?
Well, the first point is that this figure of 60,000 Palestinian people comes from the Hamas Ministry, again, of Health, which is a part of the Hamas government. And secondly, people are people, but among the 60,000 people, there's somewhere between 20,000 and 30,000 combatants. So what Bryant, who's a clever guy and he's well informed, but what he seems to be saying here is that if you fight a war, you're fighting civilians, and like there are no combatants. And what the Israelis have done is killed many Hamas soldiers and irregular soldiers at a very high level. I mean, they've virtually destroyed the Hamas organisation. But if you listen to Nick Bryant on Radio National last Saturday, you get the impression the Israelis have gone to war with people and haven't killed any combatants.
Yeah.
So the word is competence. That's what's missing. Yeah. Or fighters.
Well said. Now on to John Lyons, because he had this to say about the prospect of peace in the Middle East not that long ago.
Role the rest of the world wants that. 150 or so countries at the UN, even the United States, continues in a way to support a two-state solution. But Benjamin Netanyahu is implacably opposed. And this plan today, to me, it's a plan for the release of hostages, which would be good, of course. We want those hostages out, the whole world should, but it's certainly not a plan for any peace, and it's not a plan for any sovereignty.
But then, just last week?
My own sense is that we've had many false dawns on this, of course. You and I have talked many times over the last 2 years about possible ceasefires. My own sense is it will happen, and it will happen this coming week.
So there's the ABC's America's editors on the 30th of September saying, look, it's all over and nothing's really going to happen. Maybe a few hostages will get out, but nothing's happening. And then on the 6th of October, we're sort of on the way. So in other words, within less than a week, he jumps from saying, look, Trump's an absolute failure, to saying, well, look, we may get there. I don't know what he's saying this morning, but we may find out
Aren't
tonight.
you glad we have him to explain America to us?
Oh, great. Without him, what will we do?
Gerard Henderson, thank you so much for joining us, as always.